Okay, I'm gonna start recording. I almost forgot. There we go. Got it. Okay. Go, Lisa. Or?
Either way, you want to start?
Okay, well, we were gonna just start with introductions. So I'm the new, I think my job title is Master Gardener Coordinator, and then the Assistant Horticulturist for Arapahoe County, but I'll also be doing the Native Plant Master Program. I started on January 3rd, so I'm still wrapping my head around everything and learning stuff, like making doodle polls. So yeah, so that's me. And then we have Jill here. She's the administrative assistant for our office. So you'll be working with her a lot too for, you know, what we need done, administrative things.
Nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you.
I'm here.
And then
I think,
Heather,
go ahead.
introduce yourself and how long you've been a native plant master.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I've been in, I'm really old, so I've been at this a while, but actually I've taught, I taught Plains Conservation, and then I've taught the last 2 years at Sandstone, but I've been a native plant master for many, many years, taking many courses from the people who offered it way back when, essentially all out of Jefferson County for all the years that I took it. So I'd wandered around out in the field and tried to learn the plants. And then I finally got to the point where I felt I had enough knowledge that I could turn around and teach some. And so that's what I've done the last 3 years, 4 years. Has it been that long? That ballpark, essentially at Sandstone Ranch, and then prior to that at Plains Conservation through with DBG at the same time. So that's it. That's my story. Next.
Barb, you wanna go?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Me? Okay, yeah, I'm Barb. I've been, I don't have nearly the experience that most here have, but I have been running around foraging for plants and looking for spectacular little things for all the years that we've lived here, which is 10 now. And then last year, with some encouragement and might I say coercion.
We knew you could do it. We knew you could do it. Yeah.
Was talked into helping with the Sandstone class last year. And I think I've had this summer, it will be 3 years that I've had the official status of native plant master, just because I never went after the rating. But I had 2 of my classes in Jefferson County and 1 at Sandstone. So they were great. And I do like it. I feel better now that I have 1 class under my belt. And I have 2 excellent mentors assisting me.
Nice. Very good. Elizabeth?
Okay, so my first field trip with a professional botanist was about 72 years ago when I was 3 years old. So I've been aware that plants existed for a very long time. My father was a botany professor at South Dakota State, and we went out every year. I remember the spring field trip that the family went on every year to look for pasque flowers, South Dakota state flowers. So, however, when I was in high school, I took a hard left turn, I guess, much to my father's dismay. And I majored in zoology, got my master's in wildlife parasitology, and went into animals instead of plants. So I have been fairly seriously, I'm never really serious about anything, but I've been fairly seriously looking at plants for the last 9 going on 10 years since I retired. And I'm very old. I'm the same age as Heather, but Heather's very young. So
And the first class that I helped to teach was with Lenore. Lenore, wave your hand in case anybody here doesn't know who you are. So I was her assistant at a class at Cherokee Ranch. And I'm hoping she'll get to teach a class there again this year. But my favorite story about working with Lenore is that we went out to do our pre-class survey, and we're looking at the Boulder raspberry, and Lenore says, okay, Elizabeth, tell me how you would teach this plant. So I told Lenore every single thing I knew about the plant. And at the end, she looked at me and she said, Elizabeth, you failed.
I did.
And I went, oh my goodness. And then I learned from Lenore that when you're teaching a plant class to somebody, you don't tell them everything you know. First, you ask them to observe and tell you what they see. Because if you just tell them everything you know, it's going to go in one ear, out the other. And so that was probably my most important lesson about teaching Colorado Native Plant Master classes. So I've been teaching at Sandstone Ranch, and I hope that we'll be teaching a class there again this year. We just kind of need to work on some scheduling so that our class doesn't overlap with Lenore, hopefully teaching the class at Cherokee, and Jackie and Sue teaching a class at Roxborough State Park. We kind of don't want to overlap our classes in case people want to take 2 or 3.
Yes. Good. Okay, well, Lenore, you want to go next?
Sure, I've been in this for a long time. I think I've forgotten. I always forget over the winter, and then I start thinking, okay, I have to figure out what those little blue plants are. Anyway, but I started teaching back in 2006 when everything was at Jefferson County. And actually, I used to live in Jefferson County. Right now, I'm very close to Roxborough State Park. And so I've kind of taught for both counties. I've taught all over. The only story that I have about teaching is the very first year I had mentored with someone, Jan Turner, who was fantastic. And then the next year I taught by myself at Lair the Bear in Jefferson County. And at that time, people were coming from all over the state. And so it was just me with 14 people. And 2 of them happened to be professors from CSU.
Eek, eek.
And I was hardly intimidated. I mean, they were very, very nice. They really were. But that just started me thinking about the idea that you can't be intimidated. You're not expected to know everything. And I certainly don't. But I've taught all different places all over the place. One of my favorites has been Cherokee Ranch. And I have been in touch with Janine Colley, who I'm not sure if they've rehired her, but she's involved. And she just notified me yesterday that they're in favor of having a class out there. It's exciting. It's really great out there. So there's that possibility. And then I've also talked with Sharon. I don't know how to pronounce her last name.
Shoestrom. Like shoe.
Shoestrom. Okay.
Yeah.
And she lives right next to Dawson Butte, and is very familiar with the flowers there. And she wants to become a trainer, and she's had a lot of experience leading classes and things. And I'm sure she'll do great just from talking with her. And so I have told her that we'll work out some sort of a situation for Dawson Butte as well. So the 2 of them. And then I'm also willing, if people want either Zoom or in-person basic botany and plant family stuff too. Those are always fun.
Just to add in on Lenore's first class, I was one of her students.
You were one of those professors.
I was not the professor. I was the know-nothing person in the class. She has taught me more classes than you can imagine. I have been in more classes than you can shake a stick, but I was in that class, Lenore. You might not remember because my hair was brown at that point, but
I know you were in a bunch of classes. So.
I know, yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Okay. And then we have Jackie left, I think, right?
Okay, yeah. Jackie Sanderson. I'm the natural resource specialist with Douglas County Open Space. And I've been happy to work with all of the native plant masters that just introduced themselves. Working mostly native plant master classes at Roxborough State Park. And that's where I originally took my native plant master classes. And that was it was either in 99 or 2000, right around that time. And since then I've been working with Sue Schleider, probably for about a little over 10 years, teaching native plant master classes at Roxborough State Park. And so we have some wonderful open space properties in Douglas County, including Sandstone Ranch and the Dawson Butte property that were just mentioned. Prairie Canyon Ranch is also a really good one for native plants. And then we have some conservation easement properties, including Cherokee Ranch and JA Ranch, that are just spectacular with wildflowers for Douglas County. So anyway, we have some good plants here, and we have a lot of really good volunteers who have taken native plant master classes, and I love it when they share their experiences and their knowledge. So anyway, go ahead.
And a couple of us here took one of our classes for our certification as native plant masters from Jackie and Sue, and they were wonderful. Thank you, Jackie and Sue.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, and we've had years of trying to keep the native plant master class together. Sue and I have gone every year to extension and said, okay, who's the new person? And because the people, I think we've worked with, probably 7 or 8 in those 10 years, probably 7 or 8 different people with the extension office. So
Wow.
the turnover has been huge,
Yeah.
huge. And so now we just expect it, but we hope you can stay with it, Dawn.
Right? Me too.
I don't know what we do to scare you guys away, but
No, that's-
but every year we're searching for a continuation of the Native Plant Master program. And we all think it's a spectacular way to connect with people throughout the counties. It's not just Douglas County, but we'll get people from other counties too who are interested in participating, but then also to carry that knowledge on to the other residents of our county and other counties too, to respect our native plants that we have here. So, okay.
And Raylene just joined us, so you can get her
Raylene.
yourself right away.
Hi, Raylene. We're doing introductions. Would you like to introduce yourself?
We know Raylene.
You're on mute.
Yeah, your mute's on.
Oh, yeah, we still can't hear you.
Did she know what, touch the top and find that mute button?
There you go.
Yeah, okay, good.
There you go.
Ooh, we still can't hear you. Try again.
Raylene, do you have that? Raylene, do you have that upper bar touched? And then let's see what it looks like.
It looks like a little microphone with a slash through it, and then when you touch it, it turns it on.
On my computer, Raylene, it's in the lower left corner, just below the photographs, and you see a little microphone symbol.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
think
it
it's
looks like
in
it looks
different
like she's unmuted. So there might be something with your audio options if we still can't hear you. So if you hover your mouse over the mute button, there should be a little arrow right next in the upper right corner. And click on audio options. Should bring up like a little menu of audio options.
and mine's in the lower left corner. So I think it
Okay.
depends. Yeah, depends on your system. But if you
Yeah.
could, if you can find that little microphone symbol somewhere.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
Or
do you
touch
know
the
sign
video.
language? You could talk to us this way.
There, did that do it?
There we
did
go.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
woo!
it was, I have an iMac
Me too.
and I kept clicking on the little microphone that wasn't working.
Oh,
But something jumped up in the upper left-hand corner.
that
So,
was your that was your bunny.
is that what it was?
That was your bunny in the cage behind you that jumped up.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think he's sleeping right now.
Okay.
My 8-year-old cottontail. Anyways, sorry, I just got back from a doctor's appointment in Denver, so been racing your direction so I could get on the computer. I'm a biologist, very committed biologist. Is that what we're doing? Telling what our background is? And
Yeah. Mhm.
okay, I went to CSU, have double major for my bachelor's of science in agriculture and biological sciences, taught biology for 35 years. My master's is in botany and plant pathology with an emphasis on cytotaxonomy. Venotherus espitosa, if anybody is interested in that. Been a master gardener since 1992 and a native plant master kind of from the first, but I'm out here in Elbert County and we're sort of the orphan child and we don't get included in a lot of stuff, but we want to try to be more included in Arapahoe County, Douglas County, and the things that are happening around us, so that we can bring all of these great resources to bear, out here as well. So,
And we
anything
often
else?
send photos of plants when we can identify them to Raylene.
Yeah.
And we say, Raylene, can you help us figure out what this is? And she's very helpful.
I
Awesome.
try.
That's great. Okay, and then Lisa, I skipped you in the beginning. I'm sorry. So Lisa.
Oh, that's okay. So I'm Lisa Mason, and I'm the horticulture agent for CSU Extension in Arapahoe County. Right now, I'm also interim county director. So we've had some changes in our office recently. So interim county director, but my background is entomology and forestry, and so I love the insects. My master's research was all about pollinators. And I love native plants. I'm especially interested in the relationship between insects and native plants. So very passionate about teaching. I've taught the Native Plant Master course at the Plains Conservation Center with Lucinda the last couple times, and will continue to do so. So my passion is, of course, I love native plants too and insects, but from the CSU Extension perspective, I really hope that we can provide support and make teaching as easy as possible for you guys, because we're so grateful for, oh my gosh, the skill set and the knowledge that you all bring is amazing. So I love hearing all your stories. So I hope we can continue to provide support, and yeah, that probably leads into the next agenda item, Okay, well, from a statewide perspective, there's not too many changes happening. The statewide Native Plant Master Program is still housed out of Jefferson County. Mari Johnson is the lead for the statewide Native Plant Master Program. She was out on medical leave most of last year, but she is back now. I imagine she is trying to wrap her head around, getting back to work and everything. So there's been no major changes with Native Plant Master from that statewide perspective. But at the same time, we do have a new program that we're just in the very beginning phases of developing, and that is going to be a statewide naturalist program. So the naturalist program will function very similarly to the Master Gardener program. So there'll be 2 tracks. There'll be, if you just want to take the classes only, you can pay to just take the classes only. Or if you want to be a master naturalist, I don't know, we might change the name on that. That name is not final yet. But if you want to be a naturalist and volunteer, there'll be that track as well. So, I think there's bigger questions, once, well, actually, let me back up a little. For the naturalist program, we had an intern last summer who basically looked at all the other naturalist programs in Colorado and also around the country through extension programs, just to see what's out there and what's already developed and what we would need to make for Colorado specifically. So she did all that analysis, and now our goal is to find funding to develop the program. So we've been applying for a couple grants, haven't heard back yet. But when we do, hopefully we'll get some seed money to get the program going. We don't have a definitive timeline on when that will happen at all. It's still in the very beginning phases. So I think ultimately, ways down the road, there'll be a really nice tie-in between Native Plant Master and this naturalist program. And so they'll complement each other very well. So, but that's all we really know right now. So that's at like that statewide level. So we still get all of a lot of our resources and everything from Jeffco. So from our perspective, our local level, so are the Foothills to Plains Native Plant Master program, Arapahoe, Douglas, and Elbert. We are Dawn, Jill, and I, and also John Mergel in Douglas County and Willie Wilkins in Elbert County. We are here to support you all in your endeavors to teach about native plants. So I hope now, there'll be hopefully less turnover, but also, we have a pretty strong team that can provide support. So Dawn is the overall program coordinator. So she is your first go-to contact. Jill will be providing that administrative support with databases, with communications and that kind of thing. And then I'm also here to support as well. So, and then, I'm sure in Douglas County, you all know John very well, and in Elbert have worked with Willie too. So we're all here to support you and hopefully provide some consistency too. I know you've had a lot of turnover, and gosh, that's got to be really frustrating at times. So, but I hope we can start to provide some consistency. So on that note, any questions about all that?
I have,
A very quick comment, because it's
Yeah.
not specifically plants, but Jackie teaches a wonderful 6-week naturalist program to our Douglas County volunteers. So as you're developing your statewide program, I suggest you pick Jackie's brain because she's got lots of wonderful ideas. That's all.
We will.
Oh.
Yes.
I was just gonna, I was
Thank you
just
so
gonna
much,
ask,
though. She's pretty busy.
I was just gonna ask about that because I did hear about it, maybe a couple months ago. And I would really like to see, a sneak peek at, some of the outlines for this naturalist class that's going to be presented. And so that we can kind of, with our naturalist guide trainings, we can kind of get on the same page as the extension right now, since
Sure.
it's not really in full force yet. But we want, I would love to include a lot of the things that will be included in that. And so it's a little bit more seamless. And so if our native plant masters for Douglas County need to not plant masters, naturalist guides for Douglas County need to get to, merge into the extension office one, then it can all be, kind of along the same lines. So do you have any previews?
We have not gotten that far. We don't even know
Okay.
what, modules we'll do. I can tell you we'll probably have, a base foundation of classes that everyone across the state would take. And then there'll be an opportunity at a local level to customize for issues, for ecosystems occurring on a local level. And I know it'll be a hybrid, probably virtual classes and also some in person. But that's as far as we've gotten. So, but Jackie, I would
Okay.
love to pick your brain. And once we get a little further along and have more content, more outlines or ideas on that, I'll definitely reach out to you.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is exciting that this is in the process, and I hope you get lots of money from GoCo and get this going.
They turned us down for our initial round of funding. So, but we'll try again.
Try again. Yeah.
We'll try
'cause it
again.
seems like it would be a good fit.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, right now we're waiting on funding. So we also applied for the EPA, their environmental education grant. So we submitted that. Gosh, that would have been in December. So I'm not sure when we'll hear back from that, but hopefully sooner than later.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Any other questions?
I think we have, a much more comfortable feeling about the condition of the program now with you folks on board. I know we have, lots of detailed questions about how things will be done. And I don't know if you want to get into that kind of thing at this point or what, but.
Yeah, that's kind of the segue into the next agenda item. But I do want to give kudos to Lucinda too, because she really developed a structure for this. And Don and I, and Jill, we've been able to really take what she, some of that structure and keep it going. So kudos to Lucinda too. I know she wants to keep teaching too, so she couldn't be here today, but yeah, we're grateful for all the work she provided the last few years. But yeah, that kind of segues into the next agenda item. So talking about what classes we should offer in 2022, and then the logistics of getting all that set up. So should we go over that spreadsheet? Is that the best way? Like, let's talk about classes that are going to be offered, and then we can go into the logistics.
What's the spreadsheet? Because I have not seen that.
I have not either.
No,
Okay, well, that's something Don and I are, we just got started on that. So Don, do you want me to share my screen? I think I've got it pulled up
Sure.
right here. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. So we haven't added too much in. We added a couple that we knew were probably going to occur, or that we know that are going to occur, like Roxborough State Park and Sandstone Ranch. Couple of Elbert County classes. But right now, this is up for all of us to start filling this in.
Are you thinking about doing a September class? I just saw that down there. This is the full course. Are you thinking about doing that one at the Plains Conservation Center this year?
Yes, yeah. So in 2021 and 2019, Lucinda and I taught the full course at the Plains Conservation Center in September, and that's such a lovely time of year to be teaching. And yeah, so we'll plan to do that again.
that would be great if we were able to offer 4 full NPM classes staggered across the season this year somewhat. That would give our participants a really wonderful catalog of things to consider.
Yeah, so I have, we've noted 3 of the 4. So we've got, Roxborough will occur in May. And we're in the process of getting that scheduled. Sandstone Ranch. Any thoughts on when will that occur also in May?
No,
No.
I think we haven't thought about that too much, but I think we'd like to do it right after the Roxborough class. Does that sound right, Barb and Heather?
Yep.
yeah, I think we were going to push it a week, remember, from last year?
If we could get 1 class in that last week of May and 2 early in June, that would be wonderful. Because the spring flowers are fantastic at Sandstone, and our earlier May classes have sometimes had flowers sticking up through the snow. So if we could do last week of May and first 2 weeks of June, I think that would be great.
Yeah, I agree.
On the Thursday again, you mean the weekend after Memorial Day? Let's see, Memorial Day is the 30th. So are you thinking the 26th? That would be tough because Roxborough ends on the 24th. And so I was thinking maybe instead of doing that you drop down and start it like the very first week in June. That would put it on the second, 9th,
Right.
16th.
Although maybe they could start on that Thursday if they really want to take a second class right away.
I mean, it's
I'd like to do that because I want to make sure that we don't run into the plein air art week at Sandstone, because we could have artists trying to paint right where we're trying to teach class. So
when does that start?
it's that week of with the 23rd in it, I think. Not quite sure, I'd have to look, but I'd rather teach it the last Thursday of May and the first 2 Thursdays in June, if that would work.
I mean, anything and everything works. I wonder about the advisability of having the holiday in between. You know what I'm saying? Because you have people who leave. I don't know whether it would be a problem or not be a problem. So in theory, either what I said or back it up a week. That's the problem. We'll have to think about that. I don't know whether, Elizabeth, if we knew for sure when plein air was, that would probably help. Because I think our plants don't have a problem. We have so much out there. There'll be plenty to talk about.
Yeah, I think we can consider that, but that's about the time frame. And Lenore, what are you thinking? If I haven't even heard Lenore commit.
Well, I'm waiting. I was waiting because we would want to do Cherokee somewhere in May. So I was waiting to see, when you're going to do Roxborough.
Yeah.
And sort of make it. I don't remember it's been a while since we've taught it at Cherokee, but I'd like to do that one in May, and then Dawson is going to be really close in terms of when the plants bloom to Sandstone. So that one would need to be sometime in June too. So that's what I was waiting to see. And then Sharon and I were going to talk about when we could shoehorn both of those in. But unfortunately, they're both close. They're close to the other classes. But most people are not going to, because they're the same, like the plants at Roxborough and Cherokee are pretty much in the same palette. So people wouldn't be taking the same classes, I wouldn't think.
So Lenore, are you thinking about doing the full NPM class at Dawson, or
Well, what we've talked about is, like I said, I just heard yesterday that Cherokee is even a possibility, and that's very exciting. And I feel, ready to step into that one more so than Dawson. But I already promised Sharon I would help her with Dawson. And what we've talked about there is some sort of a hybrid, like I would definitely be there the first class, and then we'll see how things are going and her comfort level in terms of the second and third classes. So basically, yes, we would like to do both as courses, I think. If it's feasible and it works into the other.
The other thing is that at Dawson, Heather and Barb and I have led all kinds of hikes and taught classes there that were not NPM classes. So if Sharon were to take the lead on classes in the second and third week or whatever, and needed some assistance or just wanted, she'd have a pool of volunteers who'd be
Okay, no, that's good. That's I was hoping you'd say that, actually. And I hadn't thought of teaching 2 courses this year, but like I say, I love Cherokee, and if that's feasible, I think it's wonderful there. So, and I'm sure Dawson is as well, but it's a little bit farther for me to go. So, yeah, and Sharon feels the same. She has said that she would try to help me teach at Cherokee, and I'm fine either teaching alone or with someone, and that's fine for that one. But I want to support her as much as I can at Dawson too, so she can get going. It sounds like she's got a really good sense already, and I'm sure she'll do fine. She leads a lot of hikes, so as you guys know her, I've never met her.
Yes.
We've talked on the phone. So, but it sounds like she's going to step into the role really well. So
it
yeah,
sounds-
I'm just
sounds
waiting.
like we're going to have some overlapping classes. And if we've got kind of like 4 classes in the May and June timeframe, I think I wouldn't worry about the classes overlapping because nobody's going to be able to take all 4 anyway. But it might be nice if we planned to not do them on the exact same days.
Yeah, absolutely.
In case, in case somebody needed some help with something, or I mean, if I suppose somebody could take 2 classes simultaneously, and I've heard of that being done. I wouldn't want to do it, but as long as we don't teach on the exact same days, I think we can have some overlap.
Right.
Otherwise, we're going to get bumped into July and August. And
so what are you thinking then for Sandstone? Or, well, you haven't solidified, but you're thinking of like
What's the 26th, the 1st, and I'm sorry, the 26th, the 2nd, and the 9th is what Elizabeth wants due
and the 9th.
to plein air coming out on Sandstone.
I think plein air is the last full week of June.
Well, I just looked this up and it doesn't say whether it's for the year 2022, but it says the sale is on the 25th and 26th.
And so the sale is at the end of the week of the event.
So are they coming the week of the 20th then, or are they coming the week of the 13th?
Oh, not the week of the 13th. It would be the week of the 20th, because the sale it runs from Monday through Friday with them out in the field, and then the sale is Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday.
So they're going to be there. I mean, we could do our class either way then, because
So let's not decide today. Let's look at what other kind of conflicts there are, but it could either be that last week of May and the first 2 of June, or the first 3 of June. I think either would.
Yeah, somewhere in there. That sounds real good to me. We'll work it out.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a note. So we're waiting on dates for Cherokee Ranch and Dawson Buttes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, and that'll be a full NPM course. And so who else is going to teach that? Sharon?
Um,
SJOSTROM.
Okay,
Okay, one more time. Spell it one more time.
SJOSTROM. I believe that's right.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
OM.
OM. Okay.
Yeah. And
And then-
Dawson Butte is just one butte.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One butte. Yep.
Okay.
Uh,
And then, oh, and I put Sharon. Sharon should be under Dawson Butte. Okay, and so who else is helping with Dawson Butte? Lenore is, right?
right. And
Okay.
Sharon might teach with me at Cherokee. I told her that's entirely up to her if she wants to, so it's possible. I wanted to ask too, Raylene, I don't know you, but
What?
are you're out in Elbert County? Are you at all interested in a possibility of helping out at Dawson, or is that too far for you?
It depends on the dates.
Okay,
We're from Elbert County already committed to those 2 one-offs. The one that's going to probably be at my house, and we'll walk my pastures, that one, the one in May.
oh, you have a May one already, okay.
Well, it's on your calendar right there,
Right, okay, okay,
21.
okay.
And then the one at the Rooter Hess Incline.
Oh, cool.
Where is that? That's not on our sheet, is it?
Yeah, July.
Right there, July 8th.
July 8th. I've got it highlighted.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, Rooter Hess. Okay, yeah.
And so we'll do that. We did that last year, and it was very well attended. Several from Arapahoe County came out, but it's a very interesting, disturbed area, as you might imagine, anything that's been around that kind of huge construction. So it's what's left over after the damn people left.
Both meetings of board. Yeah.
The DAM people.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, and it's interesting because there's been a lot, attempt to revegetate, not always necessarily with native things. And one of the things that was used was yellow alfalfa, which is, a crop back in the Midwest more, but we don't see it out here. So it's the first actual place that I've seen as used for erosion control.
Okay, interesting. Okay, all right. So we're waiting on dates for Cherokee Ranch and Dawson Butte. So that will give us 4 full native plant master courses. So
They'll give us 5.
5. Ooh, I might be missing one. So I've got Cherokee Ranch, Dawson Butte, Plains Conservation
Sandstone,
Center,
Roxborough,
Sandstone,
and
and
your
Roxborough.
class.
September.
That's 5.
That is
That would be
awesome.
That would be awesome because we haven't had that much activity in the program here for a long time.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome.
I do have-
Wonderful.
I'm not sure if this is the right time to ask, but I do have a concern or what was presented to me about Cherokee Ranch.
Sure.
Okay, I taught there in, I think it was 2018 and 2019. I believe that's correct. And there was no extra fee at that time. However, now, and I'm hearing this from, I don't know if she's still their education coordinator, but she's involved. And she's the one that told me that they would approve a class there this year. However, they are going to charge a $20 extra fee, an access fee. They're a 501c foundation. And I think like everybody else, they're stressed financially. So
Sure.
I don't know if that's going to be a feasible aspect. Apparently that's one of their criteria for coming onto the property.
We can make that work. the logistics, we'll have to figure out like the paperwork and everything, but you know, we can use the fees that the students are paying can cover that. So yes, we can certainly make it work. We'll just have to figure out the logistics. I would imagine Jill may have had to, I know Jill was on, but she may have had to hop off already. It'd probably be something like they would send us an invoice and we could, you know, send them a check for that. But yeah, we can certainly make that work.
Great. It is similar to, like, guys, I've taught at different state parks, and Jackie and Sue teach at Roxborough. And if, you know, it is a $9 per car or per day pass. So I guess it's within that parameter. I just wanted to make sure that would even be something possible.
And is it $20 per student, or is it like just holding the class?
Apparently, because I asked, I just asked my contact there, and she said that it would be 20 per, not per session, but 20 per student per course.
Yeah, and that
Yeah,
would be right in line with what they charge for people who go on hikes there. And
and there is a possibility, there's several of us that would, you know, if it causes a financial hardship, we would pitch into sort of a scholarship or whatever, if that's, you know, if that becomes an issue.
Okay, well, and our, you know, part of offering extension programming too, we don't want anything to be not accessible to somebody. So we would certainly offer, you know, like a scholarship type thing too. I think and this might be a question for John too, because this is, you know, in his county, but we might, you know, raise the class fee a little bit to help cover that. But let me talk to John about that, but we'll make that work.
Oh,
For sure. Yeah.
Yay, Cherokee. That's exciting.
Yes.
For you, Lisa, if you are going to cover that, where does that money come from?
Well, it'd be from the fees that the class fees that the students are paying to take the class. It would come out of that.
Okay, so what is the fee?
So normally for a full native plant master course, students pay $95.
So basically you're losing $20 on every student by going to Cherokee Ranch. Yes,
which is why we might need to increase the cost for that class specifically, because a lot of that, most of the fee goes back to like printing the books and providing all the materials, and so we're not
just
generating a lot of revenue.
Just playing the devil's advocate here, then why not go to a place that's not going to charge a $20 per student fee? There's plenty of other spaces around.
I think Cherokee Ranch would be worth it. It's less than what the participants would need to pay at Roxborough. At Roxborough, they're gonna pay $27 for Roxborough to get in. So
just to get on the property,
just to get on the property.
State park fee.
Well, things have changed since I started in this program.
Yeah, for them to park, it's just their daily parking fee. If it's $9 each day, that's a minimum of $27. And if they want to go back and check the plants before the test, you know, they'll have to pay again.
Okay, so there was a parking fee. I didn't know that was the.
Yeah. It's been the same situation with Staunton, any state park, and Golden Gate has held classes in the past too, and it's any state park does have that parking fee.
Yeah, and I think so with the state parks, since it's a parking fee, you know, the students are responsible for paying for that parking fee and giving that daily park pass. For Cherokee Ranch,
that is different.
Well, yeah, we'd have to decide, do we include that in the class fee, and then pay Cherokee Ranch that total amount? Or do we charge, the same $95 fee, and then students bring $20 to, that first day of class to pay to Cherokee Ranch? And that might be a question for, maybe we have a discussion not only with John in Douglas County, but also Cherokee Ranch staff, just to see what's easier for them and what's easiest for extension.
Okay,
But I think we can make that work, definitely.
thank you. That's wonderful.
So then it would be an incentive to the students to carpool.
Yeah.
My understanding is
If it's per car, not per student.
I don't.
But
think
not
that
at Cherokee Ranch.
states that
Not
Cherokee-
at the-
Yeah,
at
it
the
is
state-
for state,
At the state parks, it would be,
Yeah. right, yeah.
or they could, Jackie wouldn't like this, they could conceivably park at the nearby open space and walk over there, but then,
Oh, you mean at Roxborough?
yeah.
Or, oh, yeah, yeah.
That's
Or we
what
could all,
most
yeah,
of
we
it
could all carpool, yeah. to Roxborough. But for Cherokee Ranch, I can see it right here from out my window. Yeah, it's a pretty nominal fee for 3 times to go up on that property. And I think separating it, having all of the native plant master classes all charge the same thing and not include it into the fee, I think would be fine. And then, separately, they'll just have to know that they have to pay that extra amount for access to Cherokee Ranch.
If they went on 3 separate hikes at Cherokee Ranch, it'd be $60. So $20 instead of $60, if you look at it that way, is a really good thing.
It is. It is. And they need the revenue. So
And so they will do it as a one-time fee then.
The other thing I wanted to add was that Cherokee Ranch is it's another one of those special places that you rarely get to get onto. So I that will be a motivation for students to take that class as well, besides the fact that Lenore is teaching it.
Sure.
Is that a positive or? I
Positive.
might just corrupt them.
Because people know about it, but they rarely get to get over there. So that's
Right, and they can't, it's just like at Sandstone, they can't visit. It's just that, just for the class. That's the only time they're allowed on the property.
right.
It is a wonderful place. I love it there.
I love the teas.
And however we work out the fees, we'll be sure to include that in the Eventbrite registration. So students know, we're, this $20 supports, supports Cherokee Ranch and all that. So that will be included in the marketing.
That's a good way to put it. I like the word supports.
Okay.
Tax deductible. You can tell them it's tax deductible.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I suppose it is.
Okay.
But then you would have to worry about receipts.
Not all tax deductibles do you have to worry about receipts.
Well, if somebody's going to put it on their tax form, wouldn't they have to have a receipt?
Oh, Jill could handle that.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe Cherokee,
we'll
maybe
figure out.
Cherokee will. I don't know. I hadn't thought about that aspect.
Okay, we'll work with Cherokee Ranch and John and the extension office in Douglas County and figure all that out. And so stay tuned. Stay
Okay,
tuned.
wonderful. Thank you.
I do have a question about Dawson Butte. Is there a book? Is there a Native Plant Master book already put together for Dawson Butte, or is that something that would need to be done?
There is not a book, and the last number of years, I don't know how many, but quite a few years when I've taught, I don't particularly care for the manuals, and I have used blank ones, or I'd be happy with no manual at all, actually, if that's okay.
Yes.
We all agree.
I think there is certainly a usability, but there's also, I think there's an issue now, especially with Ackerfield. Her book is like a brick, and it's got some really good information in it, but it's very, very heavy for people to carry. So I think there's a materials management sort of thing for students in the field, because you give them handouts and manuals, and they're just, I think it can be a difficult thing for people, as well as for the instructors, but for the class, because they're spending so much time just manipulating items. So that's
Even-
one reason
Even for the blank books where there was not a page that was populated with information about each plant, we found there were so many issues with what was still in the book that it wasn't terribly helpful, except it's a nice notebook for people to write in. Last year, the noxious weed material was out of date. It did not match the noxious weed lists from the state. The bibliography at the end, there's almost nothing. Well, I looked today, I think there were 8 or 9 references that were since 2000. All of the other references were from the 1900s. And our students do not need to be going back and looking at information that's that old, because the scientific names, the family names aren't going to match. If we're going to give them a bibliography of any kind, for heaven's sakes, let's give them current materials. So we didn't find the book to be particularly useful for the noxious weeds or the bibliography information, and all that was left was blank pages. So, you could save some money by not having to create separate book for each location, is all I'm saying. And maybe if there are instructors who really want that, that'd be great. But that information comes from the Colorado Plant Database, which is not always up to date anyway. I just pulled a random plant because it was one I was interested in recently, and it had no photograph of the plant, information that was incorrect. It was correct according to Weber, but not according to Ackerfield, and it had misspelled word. So until that database gets updated, I really don't want to give the students pages about the plants that are generated from that database. So sorry, I'll get off my soapbox now. That's all I have to say about books.
Well, and we know there's information that needs updating, and that's been a slow process, but staff is aware of that and is slowly working to update it. I don't have a timeline or even I don't know exactly what the process is either, but I do know they are aware of that. So if you taught the class without a book, a lot of the so for instance, the test that they take at the end of the class, there's certain information that they have to know for the test. Would they just have to take notes in their own way? So like when you're discussing characteristics of the plants or talking about noxious weeds, would you ask the students to just take notes however they want?
I would get up into the 21st century and say, here is the link to the state's official list that has 10 times as much information about each noxious weed as we could possibly put in a book, and go look at it. I really, since the information we had was out of date, did not match the state's list. The state has wonderful fact sheets about each plant. We actually printed out the fact sheets for some of the noxious weeds that we studied in class and handed them out to students. They were great. I just don't want to give the students out-of-date information that isn't very useful. And all the information that was there was a list of plants. not the information about the plants. We wanted them to have readily available the information about the plants. And I don't mind printing fact sheets about plants to give to students, but the information in the book was not useful.
Just a real quick observation from my behalf as a student was I agree about the cumbersome of large books, et cetera. And so I think it could be an option, made as an option to be carrying Acrofield. I think Acrofield should be brought to the class, maybe left in a bag or whatever the student wants to do with it. But I can tell you when I took all 3 classes, I took copious notes and did screenshots or photographs of the plants, and then went back and studied even further from the book, because there's so much information being just shot down the throats of these students that, you know, notes are pretty important. Observations are important, and then studying books, if they can, you know, get to the page in time as they're whipping out their notes and then observing the plants, et cetera. It's a whole process, but notes are important in the field, I think.
Yeah.
I agree.
Good point.
I'm sorry.
I
Go
just
ahead.
say, good point. And I have seen just exactly what she has described, that they're overwhelmed. You can't carry enough stuff. And if you're writing anything down, then the head of the group is way ahead of you and you have to run to catch up. And yeah, I've seen that frustration in the students.
One thing about the books, though, is that one of the things that we were tasked to do is to teach the students how to key out a plant. And we need to key out a few plants during the class, and we have to have Acrofield for that. So,
Right.
and we have to have Acrofield for the final exam, and they have to know how to use it and find plants in Acrofield for the final exam. So if we're going to carry anything, I want them to carry Acrofield, not a
Absolutely. Yeah.
You need to carry Acrofield.
Have to.
Acrofield, you find your plant in it.
Right.
You don't need to carry the little book that's provided by the native plant group out of Jefferson County. It's poor. It's just poor. So why do we give it to them? I would take my textbook, the Acrofield book, I would write my notes right in the book as I
Yes.
was in the class. So that material was available to me when I was doing my exam, right? So it's given to them. It's given to them accurately by your teachers. And it's a hindrance for us to have to deal with a book that's invalid. The other thing that Barb has, when she should be proud to say it, she uses the app, the 3000 and something app. And when she comes to a plant that we're discussing, and this is her, this is not me, but I'm saying it for her, she will bring up that plant in the app and take a screen print of it, right? So when she goes home, she has the exact plant. And when she opens the app up, it has a million links in there to fabulous pictures of the plants, to information on the plants that's current and accurate, to locations of it. It's a valid learning. It's a valid tool for the students to have with them. You may not teach off of it, but boy, it's an instant reference to any plant that we're covering at that point in time. It was her, she showed me how to do it. It was her idea, and it was such a good thing because you have it right there with all the, hold on, that's me, sorry. How do I stop this?
I have some overall input. I think the discussion that's occurring right now brings up a point that we all teach differently.
Yeah.
And that's, everyone has their own emphasis, although we're teaching the same thing. We want the same result, but we do have different approaches. And I think what we're talking about now brings up the fact that it's really important for us to have more discussions on how we teach, what we use to teach, how we manage things in the field. because that's really critical. Because I know in the past when I've taught, I've had all kinds of different papers, and you're slipping through yourself to find things, and so we need to have a workable system. I've gone to notebooks that that have certain things in them, but I think it would really behoove us to all have more discussions on this topic. It's very important, and it's important for us to know how to manipulate all the stuff we have in the field, and also for students to be able to manipulate things, because you want them to spend time looking at the plants and using their hand lens and those sorts of things, but they're also, like, as several of you have said, they're taking notes and they're doing all these things. So there has to be, or there should be, I think, ever better ways to accomplish what we're trying to do. And I need to say also that I'm in touch with some of the people at Jeffco, and I know one person for sure is adamantly against getting rid of the manuals. She loves the manuals, and she also is adamantly against using apps in the field. So there's a lot of different, there's a lot of different opinions there. But I think that there's a way for us to kind of come together on it.
Yeah, one thing that we need to be aware of is the CSU extension with the Native Plant Master program requires on the test that any information that we put down in the test comes from a CSU extension source.
Yeah.
So as it stands right now, those sources would be also, or Ackerfield. So it would be Ackerfield and the book, or information that was given by the instructor. And I don't know if it has to be something that's in a source that's backed up by CSU extension, any information that we give out as instructors. And so that, in that case, that great information from other apps wouldn't be applicable for the test. So if you took that great information and even wrote it in your Ackerfield that this is some good info, and then use that on your test, the people that are looking at the test and grading have a difficult time grading the test, because it might have some good information, but it doesn't follow the CSU extension rules. So that's where we come into some cumbersome barriers there. So what are we to do? And if we go by the book right now, we have to stick with the manual, which when I took it, it wasn't in 2000 or 99, and it was updated information for the time, and it was very good information. I thought I absolutely loved it. I could just highlight things in that little book, and I could see the plants, and I could take pictures with my camera. So that worked for me, and that's what I got used to. Now, seeing that it's outdated in many ways, and people finding better apps, we're looking at something a lot different. But the CSU extension protocol hasn't changed, so we're still using the same protocol, but with outdated information.
Yeah, and what does that say? That says our shortcoming is CSU extension and their ability to move into the current times, and what's happening here is you're getting the push from the people in the field that are saying, come on, we love to do this, but we want to give you something that's accurate and valid and current. And that's been a whole, you can look back to all the stuff that was done with the Native Plant Master Program. When I did my first class, they gave me a printout that was printed in the 1970s. right, on how to teach the class. And I use that. And at one time, way back when, there was, like Jackie said, excellent data. It's just that whatever, time, money, people have not allowed the program to move into the current century. And you're getting pushback from the people out in the field that say, we're looking at what's current and you can do better. I mean, you can do better, right? And that's a hard place to be. And I can understand. And, people's hard to change, was worked in the past, right? So it's a tough, and I didn't realize what Jackie was saying, that the rules and regs are is you have to use what I tell you or give you,
Or
even though it's wrong,
Yeah,
right?
or you flunk the test.
Yeah, even though it's dead wrong,
We have professional botanists in our class who happen to know a little more current information. I'm not going to tell them, you guys have got to go back and put old, out-of-date information on your test to be correct.
Yep.
If they put something, I might have to, as grading that test, I might have to go look it up to make sure it's right.
Yep.
But if they put something that's right, that's more current than CSU, or even more current than Ackerfield, who admits she has things wrong, I'm going to count it right. Sorry, guys.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
One other
You have to
thing,
use,
one
to
other
use
thing
your
that I didn't mention, because I've used the blank manuals for quite a while now. But what I've done, because the manuals do have really interesting information on each plant in terms of the, ethnobotany and the uses and those, I have, and it's a pain, but I've done it. I've typed out, I copied all that onto pages that I give to students. That's one reason why I'm reluctant to do Dawson Butte, because I haven't done it for there, and it's time consuming. And I have all that already with some of the other places that I've taught, including Cherokee. But again, then you're giving another handout. There's got to be a better way to, and I think with all of us collaborating, we can maybe come out with a better way to impart the information that needs to be given.
like rewrite.
When we have time,
I don't know
those
what
of
it
us
is
who are
exactly.
teaching particular plants in the field after the class, we won't have time before, could go out to the database and find all the things that need to be updated and help the people who have to correct it get it corrected. Because this little plant I looked at had some old, out-of-date information from Weber in it that was considered correct a long time ago. But the Weber book that they're using, that they list in the manual, is a couple of editions out of date. Even the Weber manual.
And that's one of the things that we have to teach is why
we could help get that database updated so it's useful. Right now,
it's going to be an ongoing, because things change. Now, I was just looking up the other day where they are with the APG stuff, and it's like they're still on 2016 APG4, but it's one of the things for people to realize is that science does change. So we need to tell our students that hey, this is what's here now, and we're all teaching, I think, from 2015 Ackerfield. She's already working on an update. So it's not, this isn't gospel.
There's a line from an old Episcopal hymn, and it says, "Time makes ancient good untruth, so we must journey onward to continue to seek the truth."
Yeah. It's like I like to reference this book to students that came from Denver Botanic Gardens, because it's got a lot of updates since Ackerfield. So I think we've got to be careful about saying only information from CSU is correct on a test. That is very bad advice.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, where we are on that.
Yeah, I mean, that is the standard, but the reason for that is to sort through the credible information and the non-credible information. So, and you're right, CSU, we're slow at keeping up to date 100%. And And I honestly can't tell you what the status of updating that database is. I haven't heard. So after this meeting, we'll certainly, ask about what that plan is. And if you all can provide help with that, I'm sure that would be very useful. So, but in terms of, when you're teaching in the field, part of what we're teaching is how to find that credible and accurate information. And this is kind of going back to like the Master Gardener curriculum, where we are looking for that research-based information. It doesn't necessarily have to be from CSU, but if it is from a credible research-based source, then that's okay. So I want to confirm this with Mari Johnson and in Jefferson County, but if you can cite a credible source to the more recent information, by all means, that is that is okay. For instance, the Colorado Department of Agriculture is the go-to. I mean, they are the I can't think of the right word, but they are the source for noxious weed information. So CSU Extension is going to get their information from the Colorado Department of Agriculture. So, teaching your students to go directly to the Colorado Department of Agriculture and sorting out, when apps get tricky, because it depends on the app, right? Like there's a lot of apps out there that are not science-based. So, if my recommendation for this interim period, since CSU Extension is lagging behind, if you can teach your students how to identify those credible research-based sources, and they're citing those sources, even on their tests, like if you have a question or, where did you get this information? If it's a research-backed source, of course count it. Yeah, because I know we're slow, and there's not going to be an immediate fix to this either, unfortunately. I don't know. I don't have a timeline or anything, but I'm been taking notes this whole time. So we're certainly going to take this feedback back to the state people that Mari Johnson and her team that work on the Native Plant Master program. But I don't think this will be a change overnight. So let us know how we can better support. I think if you don't want to use the manuals, I want to confirm this with Mari Johnson, but if you don't want to use the manuals, I don't think that should be a requirement, but I'll confirm that. Just as long as, the students are getting that science-based information and they have the knowledge they need to successfully complete the exam. And I do think that's a conversation about, well, if a student writes something about, the ethnobotany, I'm not articulating well, the characteristic of the plants, and you don't know where it came from, that's a huge gray area that I think, but maybe, we can come up with a solution with our group and make a recommendation to the states.
I don't think it's actually been an issue for us in grading tests yet, but it could be. I mean, the tests are mighty darn general. You can almost say it has yellow flowers and you're fine. So I don't think that's really a big issue for us.
This isn't high science here.
It does come up once in a while.
Yeah.
And I have to look at sources and try to search where they got their information before I can finally give them their grade, because they produced something that came from some source. And for me to figure out if it's a reputable source, I would need to either contact that student and find out their book, or go and assume that I can find that information someplace. So
we had some
The
students.
exception, though, Jackie, don't you think? It's not the
Pardon?
rule. It's the exception that you run into something like it's very random.
it keeps me up late at night.
We had some students.
Would it be
last
possible to
year
restructure
who were
tests so that we don't, I don't know. I get the one suggestion I would have would be to emphasize entering the family name as a requirement, instead of or just to restructure the test so that we don't have this issue. I'm not sure if that's possible, but.
Well, that's out of my hands, unfortunately. So I think that's a larger conversation that's, maybe later on. I'm trying to think of like solutions that you guys can implement this year that we don't have to wait on the state for. And I really think, if and you're talking about, linking students to different websites, like if you can teach them where the credible places are to go, searching, do you guys use site:/edu or, edu to search for science-based sources, all of those, all of that, I think will go a long way.
Elizabeth put together for our class a whole sheet on the websites that are valid resources that they can go. So we already give them that, right? They already
We
have
put a resource they could go to for every single
every
plant.
single flower
Awesome.
that we have
And
found are.
We put several photographs of every single plant we studied out there. So because they can't go back and look. So
Right.
they go to our website and look at photos of the plant that they're studied in class as a refresher. I don't know what more we can do.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, they have it. They have the website. We have our own website. We have everything under the sun. So it's covered. And our shortcoming is the stuff that's just not accurate, right? That's
Yeah.
the shortcoming.
Okay.
We had some students last year who were aware of the new family names for plants that are in families. The names have changed since Ackerfield. We're pretty much aware of those too. We told them if you put a newer name than Ackerfield, we'll count it as correct. If you put an older name from Weber, sorry, we won't accept it.
I think that's a great policy. Yeah. Would you be able to send us the information that you give to your students so Don and I know? I mean, that's probably a great example that other courses and other instructors could learn from. And I'd love to, we'd love to share that with state staff too.
Could they send it to all of us?
Yeah.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
Do you have that file? Do you have the files that we used? Was it out on the OneDrive?
Lou?
Heather, are you asking me or?
I was asking
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Oh, okay.
Oh. She's on mute. Oh.
She's having trouble. Something's happening with her computer.
Do we know what other counties do, like Larimer, or, do we have anybody else that we can use as references to see what other counties are doing?
Well, to my knowledge, all the other counties are using the manuals
Okay,
provided by
sorry.
CSU.
I have to go because this is Kurt, by the way. Come here a minute. You helped. You helped.
Thank you.
You helped.
Kurt.
I
You
got the
helped.
certificate
Hi,
today.
Kurt.
You got it today. Kurt got his Native Plant Master certificate today in the mail. Thank you, guys. And I have to leave because Kurt
Okay.
has a 3:30 meeting using the computer. So we'll continue
Okay.
whatever we need to do later. And
Okay.
All
we're
right, sounds
glad to
good.
share any resources that we use.
Yeah, she has.
Sorry, I have to leave the meeting. This has been
Bye.
very helpful. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, and I want to be mindful of everybody's time. So let's wrap up with a few things and then next steps and we'll end because I know it's already 3:30. Can everybody hang on for like 5 or 10 more minutes?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. All right, so I want to get back to the program spreadsheet, and I can share my screen again. So we have our 5 Native Plant Master full courses. If anybody is interested in teaching nature walks or plant walks, or any individual smaller classes, just like a one day, couple hour class, email Dawn that information. So all the information that's needed. Lenore, it sounds like now you're pretty busy with Dawson Butte and with Cherokee Ranch. If you're interested in teaching an intro to botany and plant families, that is always those are such great foundation classes for people wanting to take the full courses. We would take you up on that, but I recognize that you've got a lot now too.
Would those be Zoom or in person? Do you?
You know, I think that's up to you. What would you prefer?
I don't know. I've done Zoom the last few years. I'm doing a Zoom for CONEPS in mid-May.
Okay.
So I have the programs. It's kind of nice in a way to do it in person, but the other, I guess the optimal, and I'm not sure that I'm up for it this year, but the optimal, I think, is to do a class and then to follow it up with a hike.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too overcommitted. But I'd be happy to do the basic botany and the plant families, or I'm happy to do it for both you guys and Jeffco, whatever works.
Okay. And so if you're already doing it for Jeffco, we may or may not need to repeat them too, depending on like the number of students that are in the class. So really we'll, leave that up to you. But if you want to teach it for the Arapahoe, Douglas, Elbert counties, we'd love that. And we could do either in person or virtual.
Okay. All right. I've talked to Mari a little bit, but I haven't, so I want to do something for them because I'm not teaching other Jeffco this year. So if that's okay, I'll start with them and then however that works. Yeah.
Well, and if like the Jeffco ends up being virtual, maybe we can advertise that, maybe it could be like that, that's have a larger class size because it's virtual. Sure, and and not duplicate efforts. But yeah, figure out what you want to do for Jeffco and let us know.
Okay.
So either way is good. Okay. And then if anybody else wants to do individual classes, like one day, a couple hours, please let us know. Email all that information to Dawn. We do have a couple of requests. Denver Audubon, which is in Chatfield State Park, has requested a 2-hour beginner to intermediate class about native plants. And we wanted to give you all first dibs, basically, if you want to teach it. So the date is to be determined. It would depend largely on yours, or actually it looks
It's
like
April 16th from 9 or 10 a.m. start time for a couple hours.
What was the day? Is that for the Master Naturalists for their program?
This would be separate than that.
It is separate. Okay. I taught that one before. I didn't know if that was.
They're still offering those, but this would be just a one-time beginner to intermediate native plant class.
Okay. And what's the date again?
April 16th.
April 16th. Okay.
So if anyone's interested, or if you want to co-teach, with each other, let Dawn know as soon as possible so we can get back to Denver Audubon.
Okay. That's an in-person?
In person.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's
At
very
their
fun.
nature center in Littleton.
Yeah. I live real close to there.
Oh, there you go.
It's a lovely area. Yeah.
I just want to point out really quick that July and August have a dearth of classes.
Yeah.
And perhaps a one-day thing in July or August in an interesting location in the county, one of the areas of the county might be something we could consider. We could talk about that.
Yeah. Let me put in a push because I love Alpine. I cannot teach at Alpine anymore, health issues, but I have all kinds of stuff I'd be happy to pass on. I am very much an advocate for Alpine. So come on, you guys. I'll give you all the stuff I've got.
It's a good time of the year also for weed classes.
Yeah.
And grasses classes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
What was that? Weed classes and what, Jackie?
Grasses.
Oh, grasses. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I like those.
Mm-hmm. Well, sign you up, Raylene.
Yeah. That kind of leads into the next opportunity. So in the last year, Arapahoe County Extension has moved under Arapahoe County Open Spaces. And so we're doing a lot more collaborative programming with them. Last year, I did a series of nature walk and talks. And those programs were about the whole ecosystem. So we covered bugs, birds, trees, plants, watershed. We covered everything at the 17 Mile House, which is off of Parker Road and Parker Road. I'm drawing a blank on the cross street. So
Right at the dividing line between Aurora and between Arapahoe and Douglas counties, right there,
yes.
Right on the line.
right on the line.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, and so we're looking at doing some more classes there. So if that's of an interest, it's definitely prairie and riparian ecosystem. We could do some one-time native plant classes there. We could also revive the nature walk and talks. I would love to do those again, but with my interim director hats, I've got to be careful committing myself right now. So if anyone wants to work with me on that, I would love that. And also the 17 Mile House has a series of open houses. And so they're looking at, doing one day, like the theme is heritage plants. So that's native plants is a natural fit to that. So if you'd want to set up a table or do short little walks for an open house, and that would be a very beginner audience. We would sure love your help too at the 17 Mile House.
Well, Lisa, I have done a lot of that with Casey Davenhill with the Cherry Creek Watershed Partners.
Yes.
So
yes.
yeah, keep me in mind for that, because that's a little closer to where my side of town.
Okay.
I've done lots of things at 17 Mile House. So
excellent. Okay. Well, yeah, and Casey, I collaborated with Casey for the nature walk and talks. So we did those together along with Denver Audubon. We had a staff member from Denver Audubon attend those too. So it was like, look at the sky, look at the grounds, look at the water. It was real cool.
So if we want to do a series of those along Cherry Creek, we could. And so Prairie Canyon would be a nice place to do it too. And we also have some other properties hidden this along Cherry Creek, and the closer to the upper headwaters of Cherry Creek would be Lincoln Mountain. So, we have some possibilities, if we want to expand that and have a series. I love working with Casey and you and anybody else that would like to, and Raylene, she's from that neck of the woods. And Barb, everybody, but people who are interested in that Cherry Creek corridor, we could expand that, maybe have a series of classes along Cherry Creek.
Okay. Oh, that would be really cool, and really tie together, that the watershed and why that matters too.
And the Cherry Creek Valley Historical Society with Gary. Right now, I've lost his last name. Gary.
I know who you mean. Yeah.
Anyway,
I know the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, they would be very very interested, I think, in something like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're up for it. We would love to do more along the Cherry Creek corridor, and we have lots of good properties that will connect to Arapahoe County too.
Okay.
So.
Oh, that would be awesome. Well, let's think more about that. Maybe we should set up another meeting so we could kind of continue this discussion and and go from there. Ultimately, we'd like to have most of our class lineups, for sure, that like the 5 main full courses done by the Landscaping with Native Plants Conference, which is February 26th. So at that point, we want to have a lot of that loaded into Eventbrite and ready to market. So that's our goal right now. But if we want to add, some classes in July and August, like later on, we can certainly do that. But we'll have at least something that we can present to the public by February 26th. So anything that you can like confirm dates and times and all that, get that information to Dawn as soon as possible. we'll get another trainers meeting scheduled so we can continue these conversations.
Yeah.
And I think with time, you know, we want to be there for you to help with those logistics. So, you know, we'll on our side, you know, we'll do the Eventbrite. If it, you know, permitting, like with Cherokee Ranch or anything, let us know what you need from us to make all that happen.
Okay, great.
And I would say, Lisa, you and I are kindred spirits because I'm an entomologist also.
Yay, bugs.
Yay, bugs.
Insects,
They
yeah.
are
And I love bugs too.
I do too.
Oh,
good.
plants and insects, they go hand in hand, huh?
I'd love to work in more. There's just not enough time, but I'd like to work in more. I try to do a little bit about watching for bees and whatever, you know, during the course, but it's sometimes it's hard to work it in, but
There's
yeah.
so much. Yeah.
Definitely
Yep,
an
I
interest.
understand.
yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, we'll wrap up for today. Thank you all for bearing with us, and we'll get another meeting scheduled. What's the best way to coordinate a day and get a date and time on everyone's calendar?
Not that doodle poll.
Okay.
But
So maybe John and Don and I, you know, and Willie, we can look at our calendars and get a handful of dates that work for us and send them all out to you.
That might work better.
Okay. We'll give that a shot. Okay. Well, thank you all so much. And I'm excited for this season. We're going to have a great
Thank you.
class lineup.
Thank you for doing this,
Good.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, well, nice to meet you, Don.
Nice to meet
yes,
you guys.
Dawn too.
A face to a name.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye,
everybody.
Goodbye. Great meeting.
Jackie, how's your arm?
Oh, I'm just leaving. Oh.